Hey there you guys, welcome back. Today we're going to do a little mixed planting of these, what are they? Pepperomias. This one's a Pepperomia Pixie, I believe. I love the foliage on this one. I'll have to do a close-up of the leaves. Are you able to see? Is it going to come into focus? I'm not sure. But the leaves kind of have like a little bit of a variegation to them, kind of like a little lightning bolt. I'll see if I can take a photo of it and put it up so you can see a bigger picture. This one doesn't have it as severe as other varieties of this, but this one, it's got it. It's got it. I've seen some of them; they're a little bit more pricey. Not a lot, not really expensive, but it just looks like veins going through it or lightning bolts, and it's very jagged, and it's like a dark green against a lighter green foliage, and it's so pretty. I love it. And then this Pepperomia, I think this one is obtusifolia. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going to look it up. Maybe I'll put it down below. This one I grew as a kid, and I loved it. It grew in any situation I put it in. I had it in my bathroom for the longest time when I was little. And it had one window at the very end of the bathroom, and it only, I don't know, it got very little light that a plant really needs. It was a dark room, but the light was on often, I guess, but because it was the only bathroom that we had. So it grew well, and I would propagate it with by leaf cuttings and trim it and whatever. I always kept it. I believe I kept it on the drier side. I was young. I was probably, I'm gonna say, 10 years old, and it was a really fun one to grow. I didn't have this particular one. I had the one with the white variegation. This one here has a variegation that's very not in your face. It's kind of a dark and a light green variegation. So it's kind of a pretty one. And the other thing that I'm going to put in this as a little bit of a trailer, this one is called sedum macanoi. I hope I'm reading that right. My glasses, I've got my vision is a little blurry today. I need to wear my my not transitions. The bifocally ones, so I can read things, but don't have those on, so I'm not seeing things very well. I think it's macanoi, I think. So anyway, it's a sedum, and I just love the look of the leaves, the texture of it. It just looks like it's layered, and I thought that was really fun. So we're going to use that as a little bit of a trailer down the side of the pot. And the pot that we're going to use, Lacuna. I'm not sure, but this is a self-watering pot that you might have seen it. I have it upstairs. Another one with my cactus in it. I have some lifesaver plants. It's just a mixed planting in the brightest window that we have. This is also going to go in that bright window. It's a self-watering container. Let me bring you down. We'll do this video now, looking down at the planter as I ramble on. So this particular pot is called the Delta 20. It's a nice size pot, and I really like how it works. There we go. And I've used these in the past. I have a bunch of them. Inside, this isn't a review on this product, but I didn't put it together before this video. The good self-watering pots will have this little water gauge, so you know how much water is in the reservoir. So I really like that feature, because it's good to know whether you're overwatering or not. So this will go, this little reservoir lifts up, or this little thing lifts up. The water will stay in here. This is the gauge that will show you how much water goes in or stays there or is resting on the base. You don't really ever want it to go above max here. There's a line here, so this little gauge will go up and down as the water level raises and lowers. So this comes with this is called Pon. I don't know. It's just a porous stone material that also wicks water. So this goes down here into these little reservoirs. Those are what sit in the water. You can use soil as well, but it comes with this stuff. Just as long as you have something down there that meets with the water, so that the roots aren't completely sitting in the water to become waterlogged and rot. This lifts it up and lets the water wick up. So there we go. That was easy. So now we've got this layer of gravel drainage that also wicks water. And then I'm going to get a little bit of my soil. So I'm just going to use my regular Pro Mix soil. I think I'm just going to use the regular all-purpose mix, not the high porosity. Actually, the high porosity stuff had my scoop in it, so we're going to use the high porosity. It doesn't really matter. Peperomias like some moisture. They tolerate dry. They'll tolerate a little bit moist soil. They actually prefer to be evenly moist and then allowed to dry down a little bit between waterings. So they don't want to really be bone dry, but they don't want to be sopping wet either. That kind of nice in between. So a self-watering pot is kind of perfect, in my opinion. So I'm just going to take this this first peperomia. This I want to be in the center. Just going to play with the roots a little bit. It's not really crazy pot bound, so I don't need to really destroy the roots. I just want to break up the base, just so that the roots don't continue to go in a circle. I'm going to make a little hole here for it. And then poke him down in. I want the level of the soil that was in the original pot here to be around the same level as the edge of this pot. Because it's a self-watering pot, I'm not going to be worried about water spilling over the edge when I water, because I'll be watering into this this little reservoir here. So there's those two. And I've got this cute little pixie. I'm actually going to save this tag and I'm going to put it down in because I'm not really familiar with pixie. So I just want to remember the name. So I'm just going to, this one I'm going to divide. So let me just move this out of the way for a second and move this and move my garbage. Alright. So this one I want to divide because I want to have it on either side of this plant. Yeah. So I'm just going to go in here and I'm just going to carefully divide it out. Looks like I got 3 little plants. That's perfect. We'll see where we place these now. Alright. So I'm going to put one for sure here, close to the edge. And then I'm going to do one over here. And you know, I might actually keep one in a separate pot. I'll pot this one up in its own pot, and I'll have one for just under my grow lights. I really like it, so that'd be really cute. So now we've got the pixie planted, and we've got the other, I think that's obtusifolia, I believe. Put this off to the side for now. This sedum I'm also going to keep the label. And I'm going to do the same for this one. I'm going to divide them out. As you can see, the root system is not really advanced, so you don't really need to do a lot of breaking it up to help it expand from the pot. This one, because I want it to go everywhere in this pot, I'm just going to rip it down the side. And I think, will it do 2? I'm not going to rip this one again. I think that this is one main pot, one main plant. I could take cuttings, but I think that the plant is too small at this moment. I have a really bad habit of killing sedums in the house. Sedums grow really good for me outside, but sedums don't really grow well for me in the house. So I don't want to damage it too much. I'll let it do what it does in the pot, but as far as roots, I'm not going to do anything to damage it before it gets established. So move this dirt off to the side. Alright, so I'm not really sure. Both sides are going to be the front. I want to be able to turn this pot. I'm just moving this plant over just a bit so that I can wedge this little wedge in beside. There we go. I want it like that. so that it will trail over the edge. And then we're going to do the same thing on this side. Like I was saying, I want this pot to be the same on either side, because in the window they're always going to want to try to grow more towards the light. So if they both look the same on either side, I can turn this pot and not feel like I'm looking at the back side or the front side. Both sides are going to be the front sides. Does that make sense? Hope so. Alright, so both of these are in place. There's other little gaps in here. Usually where this is going to be going, during the holiday season we have ornaments and stuff, like a vase filled with little ornaments. So we're going to lose that bit of color. So in the spaces here I'm going to use little picks with ornaments, where it's just going to add a little pizzazz, a little pop of color. For Halloween we could put little I don't know, Halloween decorations. And then for Christmas it'll be ornaments. For spring, maybe we'll put little birds or something in there, a little nest, I don't know. It's actually going to be a little bit too high to see when you're just walking around, but when you're up in the upstairs loft, you'll be able to see it there. So now I'm getting some soil, some more soil. We're going to fill in all of the little gaps here. And then at the end, we're going to, I have some orchid bark. I was going to use stones, but I didn't have any stones on hand. So, any nice stones anyway. I got all kinds of rocks. So I'm just going in, filling up around each plant. There we go. Add a little bit more soil. I want to cover up their roots. You don't want any of the roots to be exposed. Exposed roots equal dead roots. They don't like to be exposed to the air. Alright. Just poking it down with my fingers. You want to be firm yet gentle. You want to get rid of any air pockets. Wish I had a tinier scoop, but I love this scoop. Alright. Okay. Get off of there. Just checking in here to make sure I've got everything. If you break off any little pieces of the plants, you can just stick them back in the soil. They will hopefully root, because every single one of these plants roots very easily from cuttings. This is going to want, I think I said it earlier, but a bright indirect spot. I don't have any really bright all the time windows in this place, so it's a good home for it. It'll be in the brightest window that we have. Every plant that I put there loves it, but I only have the one window. It's a tall window with two parts, but it's a very small window. Okay, so there we have the main planter right here. Are you able to see that? I'll show you at the end as well, a better view. And I'm just going to take some orchid bark. This is going to, there we go. I've got this orchid media. It's a fine fir bark. I'm just going to layer this on the very top as a little bit of a mulch, just so that it gives it a nice little finishing look. We like to mulch our gardens. Why not mulch our plants as well, or indoor plants as well? If I was to use a sand, it would, or a diatomaceous earth, it will keep the fungus gnats away. But when you water from below, you don't really have the same problem with fungus gnats as you do if you were to water from above. The fungus gnat larvae like to live in the top inch of the soil, top centimeter maybe. When you water from below, it's actually more moist down farther than they want to be. Okay, so I think we're good with the mulch. The fir bark smells so nice too. A little bit more here. Looks pretty, yes. And let me get some water, and I'll put water in the little reservoir. I don't know whether you noticed, but I'm wearing my PJ bottoms as I'm doing this. Nothing like gardening in your PJs. I'm at home. Whatever. Don't need to dress up for gardening. Your plants love you no matter what. So let's get some water in this, and then I'll show you what the finished product looks like off to the side. So this reservoir is quite large, so I won't need to water this very often. My cactus one I water maybe, because it doesn't need as much water, I water it maybe 4 times a year. This one's going to need water more often, but maybe once a month, maybe once every month and a half. I'll just watch this little gauge off to the side, and when it shows it's on min, that's when I'll give it a drink. I'm actually going to give it a little bit extra water because I know that the soil is dry, so it's going to wick that up and pull the water level down much faster than it would normally. All right, so let's look and see what this looks like. So here's what the pot looks like. Sorry, it's echoey. I'm in the pool table room right now, in the game room, as it were. So the pot is really, really pretty. The plants are still quite small in here, but as you can see, we've got the sedum. It's going to creep over the side. There's some space in here that I can add a little bit of pops of color. I was going to get color in plants, but sometimes that's not as good to do, only because sometimes they don't stay as small. Like I thought about polka dot plant or hypoestes, but they start to stretch up, and you really have to prune them to keep them in check. This is going to be an area where I'm not going to be pruning all the time, and also if it's not getting enough light, sometimes the color fades. So I'm just going to get some little ornaments to place in here seasonally, and I think it's going to be really, really fun. So show me what you're growing. Let me see what you're creating. I'd love to see what you're growing. So post on the Plants and Things What's Growing page so everybody can see. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this, and until next time, happy growing.